All right, welcome to Wednesdays with Wyatt. This is your host, Wyatt, and this week there actually is no guest on the show. It's just me talking about specifically Genius Hour, which is this idea that I really like a lot, and I'll tell you about that in a few seconds, I suppose. But first, let me just say how my weekend was, because normally there's a little bit of banter or whatever with the guests, talk about our weekend. So I'll still continue with that tradition. On Friday night, I saw On the Road at the Fargo Theater, which On the Road is one of my favorite books, and the movie was pretty good. If anybody ever wanted to talk to me about that, I'd be more than open to talk about it. Compared to the book, especially, it's an interesting thing seeing movies made of books that you really like. Always a very interesting thing. And let me just apologize in advance for any sort of coughing I might do during this, because it's allergy season. What can I say? So there'll be coughing. There'll be my voice sounds the way it does because of that. But this week, I want to talk about Genius Hour. Now, Genius Hour essentially is 1 hour a week where a certain goal is set by a person, then they spend time, an hour a week, working to accomplish this goal. And I'm saying that in pretty general terms, I know, but specifically it's used in workplaces. I know Google uses it, YouTube uses it to try and drum up new ideas. And honestly, it's kind of a success, I think. I don't have lots of numbers to back it up, but it's what I've heard from anecdotal evidence. It is a success. I actually listened to a TED Talk on it earlier today, and as such, I was inspired to talk about it because I think it deserves to be heard about by more people. When I was doing some research for this, I Googled Genius Hour, of course, because who wouldn't do that first? And I saw this thing, and it was a website by teachers who are trying to utilize this Genius Hour in their classrooms. And one specific teacher, the way they utilized Genius Hour was they had their students ask a question, and then they spent 3 1-hour periods over the next few weeks searching for the answer to this question. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, they would present what they found in an attempt to answer the question. And I think that's a fantastic idea myself, because it really it helps people to problem solve. It helps to sort of support problem solving and encourage problem solving. I think problem solving is very important in schools. I think it's something that currently isn't being done enough in schools. I mean, you have certain classes which already kind of have sort of a Genius Hour, I think. Like one of them I know very well, obviously, in newspaper, which you're presented with basically the idea that you release an issue a month, and you have to figure out what to put in it. You have to figure out creative ways to do page design, to write stories, and so on and so forth. And then I also thought, art is certainly a way where it's kind of a Genius Hour. You have to come up with a solution to fit a certain prompt. And then I suppose similarly with rec engines, it uses a similar thing. So there are already classes that do utilize a sort of Genius Hour structure, but I think that more classes should do such a thing as the Genius Hour. I think English classes are definitely a prime sort of place for this Genius Hour to set foot, if you will, with that metaphor. I think it would really encourage people to think outside the box and maybe relate more to literature and stuff. I think it's very, very interesting idea. And similarly, I think some science classes already kind of when you go into a lab, you kind of try and problem solve. But I think that we could be doing more of that in schools. I think we should be doing more of that. More not less structured labs per se, but more freedom in the lab, I think, would be an interesting route to go down. And I think it would be beneficial to students, because I know in most of the science classes I've taken in the past 3 years, when you have a lab, you have a very specific end goal that you're trying to achieve. And obviously in college, you go more into the research aspect if you go into a quote-unquote science, your science-related degree, or however you want to put it. But I think we should start doing that earlier on. Obviously, it's important to show kids sort of what they're trying to achieve when they do a lab. But I think sort of freedom to draw your own conclusions and stuff is entirely valuable, and I think that we should be encouraging that earlier on, maybe even in the last few years of high school. But yeah, I think the TED Talk specifically I was listening to earlier talked about this experiment that was done where they incentivized certain people and told them to find the solution to a specific kind of thinking outside the box problem, and it took the people that were incentivized longer to do it than the people that were just kind of there, that didn't have an incentive. They were just doing it just to do it, just purely based on wanting to finish the goal, sort of, I suppose. And I think that that's one thing we should be doing. Once again, relaying it back to schools, and that's what those teachers are doing in certain parts of the United States, where they have the students think of a question and then research it. I think really the premier benefit of Genius Hours that it, as I said earlier, encourages problem solving, but also encourages outside the box thinking, and that's something that we really need more of. We need more people to think creatively. We need more people to think outside the box, and without that, basically our country will stay where it's at, sort of middling its way through history, but no sort of scientific achievement ever came just by people middling it through. No sort of the Constitution wasn't just people doing exactly what they've been taught. It was a certain level of creativity, and I think anything that encourages creativity is beneficial both to the person that's engaged in the activity and all other people. And I guess that's all I really have to talk about today. Thank you for listening to me talk on my own about this, and yes, thank you for listening. Until next time.